What's up, guys and gals? It's time for the latest chapter review for Kengan Omega. Kengan Omega chapter 299. One chapter away from hitting that milestone of 300. It is the left eye of God. And if God's left eye is looking down on this chapter, I would say that he'd probably be pretty happy with it. I was concerned for a moment, and we'll get to it, because we'll go through the chapter, of course. Just trying to stay caught up at the very least on Kengan, because I am behind on everything else between One Piece, Draft League, Yona, Record of Ragnarok. I'm behind on everything else, so I'm just trying to keep, at the very least, trying to keep the Kengan stuff still flowing out on time, at least. So it's just March. It's just been really busy. Same with February. But alright, so going through this chapter, and we'll talk about the one thing. There was one thing I was a little concerned about. I was like, I don't like that they changed that, blah, 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 but they didn't change it. It was just done for a laugh, so we'll get to that. And I'm not the only one who said it. I'm not the only one I read. I think that was that Discord or Reddit? I'm forgetting where I saw it, but someone else said the same thing, and I was like, I thought the same. I was like, no, I like that, so we'll get to that when we get to it. I really like the chapter, just right out of the gate, so we're going to get into it. But I really like this chapter. I think the last chapter was really good, and I think this chapter is even better. So, yeah, 299 is not a disappointment as far as I'm concerned. But Joji and Oma basically are about to face off. They're about to face down and stuff like that. Now, this is where he acknowledges that all of his opponents have been sort of tricky. I think what he means is they all have a different style, and Oma had to fight them all differently by the terms of tricky, because Kurushi was the only one he actually found tricky, and by the time he was done with Kurushi, he's extremely tired, as Joji is sort of pointing out. He's like, you fought very well through the pain right now, meaning that this is, and we see him, he's sweating bullets and stuff, like it's not easy to be going one after a gauntlet of fighters, right? And that's why he had to take out Nitoku. I know the community is split on this idea, but he had to take out Nitoku early and quickly because he wouldn't have enough gas left in the tank, by the sounds of it, if he had to fight Joji after, wearing down and doing the full 3 minutes against Nitoku. You could take it that way if it makes you as a Nitoku fan feel better. I would back that claim, because he's fought each of them. He fought the first two the same way, right? He fought Toa and Lu by trying to mimic their styles and fight them and defeat them at their own game, at what they're good at, right? While dispersing damage, while creating aura, etc. By the time he got to Kurushi, it was, okay, I can't fight this guy on his field. I'm not as good a grappler as Kurushi, so I cannot fight him in grappling. So I've got to change up my strategy. He went the full 3 minutes. It was a very close, match where they both got heavy hits in. And then by the time Nitoku came around, he's like, I still can't do that. I got to take him out because now I got to face Joji. So, yeah, I would take it in that regard. So this is where Oma also acknowledges that he's very difficult to figure out because he's never seen Joji fight. He just knows he's going to be tough because even Shen has acknowledged Joji's strength. So he's like, okay, how's this going to go? Nitoku, thankfully, who was passed out, wakes up and he goes, oh, did I get knocked out? And Toei even immediately mentions, like, you didn't miss anything, you're only out for a couple minutes. So they're about to start, so let's watch. Kurushi once again refereeing, and they square off. Joji immediately throwing a first sort of quick straight punch or a jab sort of idea, and immediately it looks like Oma, at first I thought it was Joji judging the distance, and Oma knew he wasn't going to hit him, like the range. But it seems like Joji said he widened the distance ever so slightly, so Oma saw the punch coming and backed up just enough, so it doesn't look like he went, whoa, you know what I mean, like that. Like, it's like if the distance is here, he didn't all of a sudden go back like this. It was more like, okay, the punch is going to hit me right here in my big old schnoz, right here. So Oma just went like that. Just that slightest little change. But Joji did pick it up. Oma's being very observant, and Joji noticed it. So he immediately says, well, alright, you backed up ever so slightly. Time to go in for the launch. So he goes in for the big launch, and he's boom, 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 hitting heavy body shots. Now, of course, we've seen Oma taking shots from, the wrestlers before this, and, with Haru and Josie and, or Jose and, Jose and Seki and stuff like that. We've seen him be able to do this before. He did this against Lou, and Lou even says he's neutralizing the power of the strikes. This is insane. It doesn't matter how many times you land a hit. You're just hitting a brick wall. It's not going to matter. You're going to tire yourself out. But immediately, the next panel shows, because you knew, Joji had already noticed this. Joji has already recognized this. And obviously, and we do find out the secret of his eye, which is really cool. I don't know if we knew this in Fist of the Seeker, since I've never read Fist of the Seeker, but we do find out the mystery behind Joji's eye. It is not the Sharingan, all right? It is not the Sharingan. There's nothing behind Zoro's eye. You know, it is what it is. But, yeah, so Oma's there, and it's this really nice panel. I love when they do the artistic choices to showcase, like cracking, like how it dispersing damage, and how it's like, oh, and it feels like sort of like the Guruguru no Mi powers, like cracking glass or lightning, you know, going through you, sort of at each pressure point. And Oma's noticing it, and he's like, holy shit. And he goes, I know I'm diverting, like, immediately Oma is assessing the situation, and he's like, I know I'm diverting the strike's power, like, I'm not messing that up. The strikes, otherwise they'd probably blow him back, right? Joji's got a lot of strength behind his punches, so he knows he's dispersing the damage, but it still hurts incredibly. So, like, almost like, holy shit, like, I'm dispersing the damage. It's not hurting at, like, the 1 to 5%. It's hurting a lot. Like I'm dispersing some of it, but it's still so painful. Like, so he's not dispersing very much at all. He actually is dispersing the initial impact damage, but that's all he's doing because, as is pointed out, by Kurushi thinking about it, he goes, they call it the touch of death, an attack that can strike a moving opponent's pressure points with pinpoint accuracy. So even if you were able to neutralize the power of the strike itself, you can still feel the pain. Nasty, isn't it? So sort of think of this as the advanced hockey, Conquerors and Armament hockey from One Piece, the internal version of hockey. So even if he's going on the fly and hitting pressure points with pinpoint accuracy, that's insanely cool and stuff like that. And that's Joji's sort of claim to fame with just his simple, like Kuroki, mastering one style, just mastering the basics all the way to the advanced techniques, but staying within your style, not going for all the flashy moves or trying to incorporate moves from other styles or something like that, just having faith in your own mastery of your chosen martial art. That's what makes Joji dangerous. It's what makes Kuroki dangerous, Kurushi, all these guys, it's what makes them dangerous. So, and here we're seeing it, is that these two fists, and it's just like, okay, so it's dispersing the wider exterior damage, but he's still putting pressure on your internal pressure points right beneath the skin, right? Like where the joint, Kurushi's thing is bone breaking and stuff, right? He knows where the joints are, he knows where the weakness is and stuff like that. Joji's pulling the same thing except with pressure points. You know, the ultimate acupuncturist, if you will. And it's really cool, and it makes sense that you wouldn't be able to disperse. You're able to dispersing exterior damage, but he's actually pressuring your body internally in a sense. So yeah, kind of works. I'm curious if this would work against Shen. I'm curious as to, because we know that Oma is doing this based on a principles ideal. I'm curious if Shen, and obviously this is basic to mid-level at best. He's gotten a lot of growth in this gauntlet of fighters, that's been told to us, but obviously it's nowhere near Shen level quite yet. Could Joji go full out, Shen not move and only try to disperse the damage? Could Joji actually make it so Shen feels it? Like, would this also happen to Shen? Like, no matter how much you disperse the exterior damage, and you master this technique, you master this level of principles, you'll still feel the pressure point damage. There's nothing you can do about the internal damage that these strikes will do. I'm curious. You know, like, would that be a thing? So it depends, right? Either way, they continue on. He immediately almost says, well, we're in full contact karate. That's his, you know, playground and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to back up, you know, widen the distance between us. Joji immediately notices he's going to do that, and big high kick coming down on him and stuff like that. He hit me right when he couldn't divert the power, so he knows exactly. So Joji's watching for the timing perfectly as to when to strike, and he's just completely almost, this is so far a one-sided fight. Joji's putting the pressure on Oma, as exhausted as he is, but still, he's doing all the pressuring. Oma's not been able to do anything to Joji yet, and this is where he acknowledges that karate is all I know, and that's why I'm pretty confident in my karate. Like, so that's Joji's whole thing. And as I said, I take that very much like Kuroki. Kuroki didn't bother learning, you know, Blink and Rakush's Palm and stuff. He can understand the concepts of these different styles, but he never tried to, for one day, practice it on his own. He is the Kaiwen style. The Kaiwen style is his bread and butter. It's all he knows. It's all he cares about. It's all he trains with. So as flashy as other things might look and stuff, it's like, no, this is all I know. I've dedicated my life to learning and mastering and the fundamentals all the way to the black belt techniques of the style. And we're just seeing how that works because Oma immediately comes forward with an iron breaker, which is his bread and butter, trying to get it. And Joji easily just counter and slam and just gets him right in the chin. And so Oma has not landed a single hit on Joji yet. And Joji is standing there with the aura. It's a really nice panel. Oma gets back up and he's tricky in a way different way than other styles like kickboxing or Muay Thai and stuff that utilize a lot more points. He goes, I'm not going to get him with a full frontal assault in just 3 minutes. So he's like, immediately. And Joji is probably used to this. I'm surprised they never brought this up, and we'll get to this. But he tries to get into his blind spot. We've seen this so many characters before, right? This is anime and manga fighting 101. You always do this, right? You always try to get in the character's blind spot. The character with the eye patch, King Fear Bradley or something like that, right? Or the guy with the scar, you try to get in their blind spot. I think an opponent even tried that against Zoro in one of the movies or something, right? If you have an opponent that doesn't have both eyes or bad vision in one eye or whatever, always try to get on their blind spot. And always, these characters have compensated for this blind spot. They've actually overcompensated for these, sort of the Daredevil scenario, right? Loses his eyesight, heightened senses outside of it as a result of the blindness, right? So the same thing here is that Joji's eye actually works kind of cool. It's not OP, and I like that. But I wish they had brought this up because Oma's trying to get in his blind spot to be able to take him down from sideline hits. Joji says, it's what I would do, like against an opponent if I was facing me. Of course, that's the natural strategy to do. Kurushi even acknowledges this. But the fact of the matter is that even though it's acknowledged, you circled around on my left side, that's where my vision is obviously the poorest. It's an entirely rational idea, but Joji immediately, just not even looking at him, boom, just gets him full frontal, and obviously Oma was not ready for this counter strike before he could even pull it off. And then Joji flips, goes in, and slam karate chops him right down on his shoulder. I'm surprised we didn't see a panel of Oma's entire shoulder going here and going crack. You know what I mean? Because that looks devastating. This is the type of art with the big, full lines of flowing of power of the, just the essence of the blow with these big, thick and thin lines of whoosh, you know what I mean? Like these air slashes and the lines of flow and stuff like that. This is the type of art I really, really like. So even though there's not a crazy amount of really big spectacle action going on, each one of these hits feels devastating, like back in Ashura, like when some of the earlier fights in Omega and stuff, like this looked like a devastating holy shit that could have broken Oma's shoulder, That's the type of art I'm looking forward to and stuff. So maybe Dara was more concerned, obviously maybe he really likes Joji or something like that, but either way, yeah. What they don't bring up though, because they're not going to bring this part up, is the overcompensation. Joji never mentions the classic thing. I don't know if I like that or don't like it, but the fact is that he's doing the classic anime character thing, but he never brings up, he's like, yeah, it's what I would have done, find your opponent's weakness and go for it, right? Whatever that is. In this case scenario, and we've seen Oma from early Ashura, that is what he does. That's how he fought his initial fights against Seki, against Medicine Man, against all these guys, right? So my thing here is that he never brings that up. He never says like, oh, ever since I've gotten, most of my vision impairment or whatever, like my poor eyesight, ever since then, opponents I've been facing down for years, for decades now, because we know this happened when Joji was in his 20s, confirmed here. So, fact of the matter is, if this all happened during that time, he's been fighting and mastering karate and still been in fights for years, for decades now with this poor eyesight. So he never brings up the classic line of, I've been fighting years with this poor vision and everyone tries to take advantage of it. I learned to adapt and fight some of my best inside and take advantage of the fact that my opponents let their guard down while getting into my blind spot. While meanwhile, it's actually the spot where I'm the most dangerous. Bam! You know what I mean? Like that whole classic thing we see all the time with a character with a sense impairment. And he doesn't bring it up, but it's exactly what is happening. It's exactly what he's doing, because Oma, of course, is shocked by this, not realizing his counter was coming. It really is. It's the most dangerous spot to be, because you're unaware. You think you can take advantage when really you're the one at your disadvantage, because you're not going to be on the defensive, thinking that he's got to be on the defensive, right? So I actually like that. It's still happening. They just don't flat out say it in black and white text. That's fine, because, it's the classic thing, right? So either way, I just really like it, and they're thinking that it's got something to do with his left eye. His left eye is really special. What's up with his left eye? And Karushi immediately mentions, no, his vision really is poor in his left eye. It's not good, but it actually can see more than average in a manner of speaking. And they bring up the joke that he should be refereeing right now, and Karushi's like, what am I supposed to referee? All I gotta do is watch the clock. Like, I ain't getting to know that. Sort of idea. So they ask, like, what is Joji's, what is it about the left eye? What do you mean by he can see more even though his vision is really poor? He goes, the whole reason his left eye is like that in the first place is when he was training when he was a young man in his 20s. He fought against a brown bear. Brown bears are quite dangerous. They're one of the more dangerous bears. And so he fought, of course, the classic Hajime no Ippo does it. Kengan's been doing it before. Fighting manga always have a character, man versus bear. Well before the memes, you know what I mean? Well before the sexism meme started and stuff, it was a man versus bear. Can I take down a bear with my bare hands? Literally, bare hands against a bear, right? So he says he went to train in the mountains in his 20s, inspired by the manga Karate Master, right? Classic. And he encountered a brown bear and he gouged his left eye out. Now, as I said, I was worried that they were taking away the fact that Joji's wife, I mentioned this last, Joji's wife is actually the top of the verse. Shen's even terrified of her and stuff. He started sweating and he goes, no, if you bring me home drunk, she'll attack us both. I can't guarantee your safety. And he's like, I see. And he's like, she's the one who gave him the scar across his eye and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, maybe we better not go home. And he's like, right. Let's not go home. Let's not antagonize her, right? That's hilarious. That's fun. That's part of what's been keeping, in my opinion, Omega alive, has been this very comedic and lovable bromance between Joji and Shen. And that was a part of it. Now, that was in one of those volume extra things. It's still canon. I don't care. And I really like that's the reason Joji has the scar and stuff like that. I thought they were retconning it and giving us a serious story here, because he said he managed to defeat the bear in the end, but he did lose his vision in that eye and stuff. And actually, you don't see the 3 scars across both sides when we get the close-up from when he fought the bear. It did damage his eye, but we don't see the classic 3 marks of where he's bleeding from. He's actually bleeding from above the eye, actually above it and stuff like that. So it seems like his vision got damaged another way from the claw, obviously, but that wasn't the case, because he has now a wider, it's called the left eye of God. He's just got a wider field of vision. So if your field of vision is like this as a normal person, so he's got poor eyesight on this side, but he can see way further back. He got a bigger piece of the pie chart, right? So if you can only see 10%, he can see 33%. So he's got a wider range of peripheral vision. And that's not OP. It's still dim. So from here on, it's still very dim. So half of his eyesight is not that great, but he can see more than the average eye. So it's sort of a compensation method. I like it. It's classic. Is it realistic? Could that potentially happen? I'm not sure. If the eye was able to, if the eye was damaged in such a way, would your peripheral vision, due to freak, all the factors meet up? Is this scientifically possible? Not an eye doctor, don't know enough about it, but maybe. And at least it's plausible. I can buy this without, relying on Kengan magic, and it is pretty cool. Now, obviously, Joji is still giving Oma a hard time. Oma's trying. He's still trying for the blind side, and Joji's just like, nope, slams him in the face and stuff like that at the end of the chapter, saying it won't be easy getting past this eye, so what are you going to do about it, Oma, right? And that's the end of the chapter. As I said, right before the last page of the chapter, though, he's just like, okay, the left eye of God, he got it from fighting this bear. It was damaged. That's where he lost his vision, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, this is the product of a cruel twist of fate. Now I know the secret behind the scar across Joji's eye. And Kuroshi's like, oh, no. That scar, his wife gave him that scar when he scratched him in a marital dispute. And he's like, wait. And Lou's like, wait. is that wife some type of predator? Like, and I'm thinking, like, is that my mind immediately went to not like, it went to Alien versus Predator. It went to a literal predator with the cat noise. You know what I mean? Like with the shing, rip. You know, like the hunter, right? My mind immediately went to a predator like that. So that's kind of funny. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't think it was, but still, it's quite funny and stuff. But I was worried about that. I'm like, okay, so we do actually have a serious reason and backstory for why Joji got the scars and the damaged eye. The bear did damage his eye. His wife scarred his face. Okay, right? So, anyways, no, this is shaping up really well. Joji has yet to take a single hit. He's only had to actually counter and block one Iron Breaker so far, and he's only landed hits against Oma. Oma has done jack shit to Joji. This is what I wanted to see. This is the guy who's one step above Karushi, and Karushi gave Oma a hard time. And they were about to throw down and fight serious. Joji is that one step higher than Karushi. And he's showing that difference. He's showing that difference might be small on a tier list, but it's a wide gap. It's a razor thin margin, but that's a mighty thick razor, right? So, anyways, no, really good chapter. Love the chapter. I hope you guys did too, because I really enjoyed it. So, but what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We will try our best to get caught up with the other reviews. I think we are still caught up with Star Strike It Rich, so there's that, and Kengan that are caught up. Got to play a lot more Draft League this week and next week, of course, to make sure that I don't fall behind on that one for stream-wise, and then hopefully catch up with all the other manga reviews and stuff, right? So, but yeah. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. As I said, like, comment, and subscribe. And, yeah, we'll see you guys back here next time. Have a good one. Hope your Wednesday was good and all that fun jazz. I hope to have this out here today. We'll just see how the rest of the evening goes. So, but, yeah, hoping that this is produced today. Have a good one, everyone. See you next time.